So hi everyone, welcome again to Biblical Hebrew with Mona Balog, and this is lesson number 2. We're going to go through the resources first in the Hebrew lesson booklet, and then we'll go through the initial lesson. All right, so this is lesson 2, and let me again let me just first of all go through the books that I have here that are also listed in the Hebrew lesson booklet. First of all, we have the Schottenstein interlinear Chumash, what's called a Chumash. Okay, Chumash is the Hebrew word which means 5. This is the 5 books of Moses, and it's in an interlinear format. So what you see, and it's read from right to left backwards, but here you have all the Hebrew. And then underneath the Hebrew is an exact enough translation of the Hebrew word. This is what's called interlinear. It's word for word in a line underneath each word. So you can learn the Hebrew and then what it means right underneath it. All right, so that's the Schottenstein. And this you do need to buy a hard copy. This is our textbook, the 5 books of Moses. And there's another interlinear, which is absolutely wonderful, but it's the entire Hebrew Bible. So this is the NIV, interlinear Hebrew English Old Testament. So it's NIV, so it's a Christian translation. And here you can see every Hebrew word from the Bible is written out, and underneath is again the exact translation or close enough. But then in the margins you'll see a prose, as best as the translator could make it sound good in English. That's what the translation is. Okay, but it's excellent, and it has the entire Old Testament or Hebrew Bible. And as you can see, it's written from left to right, the way we normally would experience a book. All right, so that's the NIV, interlinear Bible. Next is the Brown, Driver, Briggs. So Brown, Driver, and Briggs were 3 authors who put together this lexicon. It's a Hebrew and English lexicon, and it has every single word and its reference close enough. I mean, there are some minor little differences in the verse numberings, but every single word that's listed in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible is in this lexicon. So, and then you can see I've marked it up. I've actually marked the references to the Torah because that's all I teach. I teach Torah. And the Hebrew Bible includes the Torah and the prophets and the writings. But that's too much to learn. And as you'll find out, if you know the Torah Hebrew, you can learn anything in the rest of the Hebrew Bible. So I've marked mine up with the Torah references, and you can see it's a little sparse. There aren't that many references because there aren't that many unique words in the Torah, but each word has enormous depth and breadth, as you'll find out. So that's the Brown, Driver, Briggs. And I'll show you an online version. You don't have to buy that in the hard copy. And here's, last but not least, is the Hine. Hine is Biblical Hebrew, the Practical Way. And the author is Rahel Halabe. So this is our workbook. And we're going to be using this every lesson. This can be bought as a hard copy. This is the Aleph workbook. That's the first one. Next is the Beit workbook. And then you have what's called a toolbox. And that gives a nice, concise collection of all the charts and the lists and so forth. Okay, so that's very helpful because it has a little bit of everything distilled from the other 2, the Aleph and the Beit versions. All right, so let me go to screen share, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the online Brown Driver Briggs. And let's go to this. Here it is. So you can see the enhanced Brown Driver Briggs Hebrew and English lexicon. So you can just go to a free version. Up here, I do have the page numbers. This version online has 3,132 pages. Interesting, because the offline one, or the hard copy, has 1,204 pages. Okay, so that has 1,204 pages, but online it has 3,132. At least this PDF version of the BDB, the Brown Driver Briggs lexicon. And you can see it's exactly the same as the hard copy. It's just the pages are different. Okay, so you can use that. That's one. Now I'm going to go to the online version of the Hine. Let's get down here. Okay, so here's the Hine online version, and this has 966 pages. Well, each one of these three books has a finite number of pages, but they're approximately also 966, so close to 1,000 pages. But here it is again, and this is the online version which you can purchase. You go to Magnus Printing or Magnus Press, MAGNES. Right here, you can see it, magnuspress.co.il. But you can purchase this online for less than $50, or you can get the hard copy, but then it's only shipped from Israel. So shipping costs more than the book itself. It costs about $100 to get the hard copy version. So it's nice to be able to have the online. All right, so that's Hine. And now we're going to go directly to then these are two other references. One is the studytorah.com, where you can download the Hebrew lesson booklet under Hebrew lessons. And then the Hebrew lesson booklet is right here. Download a PDF of the Hebrew lesson booklet. And then last but not least is Mechon Mamre. Mechon Mamre is an online free Hebrew English Bible, and it gives the entire Old Testament or Hebrew Bible in an online version. Again, it's free. All righty, all these wonderful resources. So now let's go to the Hebrew lesson booklet. So these are all the references I made reference to. Again, you can copy this, you can download this, and we're going to get started. So let me actually go to, here's my beautiful, another version of the scroll, another image of the scroll. And again, remember that each one of these scrolls, even though they're different, they have exactly the same words and in exactly the same pattern that the scribe writes, the Hebrew scribe writes word for word by hand. This is each scroll is handwritten. All right. So now, actually, let me get this a little farther over. And here's our Hebrew lesson booklet. So let's see. So now remember, we're going to say the pronunciation, and then we're going to write out and say the 22 Hebrew letters. So here's the pronunciation. Again, we're going to go through this every week as you get better and better. But if you're completely new to it, no worries. You can learn it just as easily or, as slowly as we're going to go through it. So go ahead and say this with me, all right? Read with me. The more you do this yourself, the quicker it'll get ingrained and imprinted in your mind. Ah, as in father. Eh, as in red. A, as in hay. I, as in sit. O, as in so. U, as in sue. I, as in I. A, as in hay. E, as in ski. Oi, as in boy. Ui as in buoy, as in loch or bach. Aw, sort of like the ah sound when you go ah for the doctor, but it's even further back, known as a guttural aw sound. Ts as in Mr. Katz or pizza. T is the T as in Thomas. So notice this is a TH, but it's pronounced T as in Thomas. Originally, this sound was made pronounced like we do in English as in Finn. So Sabbath or Beth Israel, but today it would be pronounced Sabbat or Shabbat or Beit Israel. And then if you have an apostrophe, when a syllable is marked with an apostrophe, it makes the sound of the letter. That's a B, G, D, and so on, as used with this vowel marking called a shva. So let's say the sounds. A, E, I, O, U, I, A, E, Oi, Ui, O, T, T. And now we have the letters. So the Hebrew letters, there are 22 of them. Each one makes a unique sound. And here we go. Aleph is silent. Aleph. Beit, B, bait. Gimel, G, gimel. Dalet, D, dalet. Hey, H, hey. Vav, V, vav. Zion, Z, Zion. Hate, H, hate. Tate, T, tate. Yud, Y, yud. Ha, H, ha. Lamed, L, lamed. Mem, M, mem. Nun, N, nun. Samech, S, samech. Oyen, silent. Oyen. Fe, F, fe. Sadi, T, sadi. Kuf, K, kuf. Resh, R, resh. Sheen, Sh, sheen. Tav, T, tav. And I hope you'll notice that most of these letters sound familiar to the English. So Aleph would be an A, Beit B, Gimel G, Dalet D, Hey H, Vav V, Zion Z, Chet, well that one is Ch, unusual. Tate T, Yud Y, Chaf, again, Ch, unusual. Here, these are my three favorite. Lamed Mem Nun, L M N. Samech, S, Ayin, that's unusual. Fe, F. Sadi, this is unusual. So, Kuf looks just like a backwards Q, and it has the same sound as a Q. K. It is indeed a backwards Q. Resh, R. Sheen, a little unusual, the SH sound. And Tav is T, the T sound. One way to remember this is with the rap. Here we got a rap. So let's say it in a rap. I'll say it and you can say it after me. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav Zayin Chet, Tet Yud Chaf, Lamed Mem Nun, Samech Ayin Fei, Sadi Kuf, Resh Shin Tav. All right, so we're going to do this every week. You get it down. Now we're going to draw the letters. All right, so let me just go through this quickly. Aleph. Okay, write out the Hebrew letters using the worksheet that follows. The Aleph is the most complicated to draw. And I'm just going to go through this and then we're going to write it out. First, you make a rectangular box as a guide, taller than it is wide. You make a diagonal in the box from upper left to lower right. Continue the Aleph without the box. You mark off 2 dots to divide the diagonal into 3 equal parts. From the upper dot, you make an S shape ending in the lower left corner. From the upper right, you make a question mark ending in the lower dot. Okay, so I will draw that out momentarily, but let's just do this next one. The resh, look at this, is a resh, or the R sound, is a basic shape in this particular font, and it's found in several letters, including the beit, the hey, chet, chaf, fe, and tav. And here you have all the letters that are written out. So you can look at this later on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close this down now, and I'm going to turn back to our board, and you're going to go ahead and write with me. So if you can get some lined notebook paper, and I'll show you what I have here. It's just any lined notebook paper. So we have just this college ruled, okay, with a spiral bound, and you have these lines. But what we're going to do is, because Hebrew is written from right to left, we're going to, well, you can just mark it off from right to left, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so you can either do it upright or you can, however you want to start this. But what I have people do is, so that we can just go from back, here we go, back to front, is you start in the back. Anyway, so let's go ahead and turn this around. And well, if you have your lined paper, great, or you can bring it next time because we're going to be doing this every week for several weeks. All right, so hopefully everybody can see this. All right. So what we're going to do, we're starting from the right side, and we're going to bracket off what you'll have 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on your worksheet or your notebook, you'll bracket off, or you'll mark off, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got 4 lines, and then we're going to bracket off these 4 lines. I'll just do it here in order to create 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3 spaces, 4 lines, and you bracket them off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, bracket them off, and you're going to make the point of the back bracket in this middle space. Okay, so this is space 1, space 2, space 3, bracket it all off. Okay, now again, we're going to do another 4 lines. 1, starting from the bottom of the previous one, 2, 3, 4, and bracket it off, bracket off 3 spaces, 4 lines, 3 spaces. And we'll do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bracket it off. Okay, so these are our working spaces. Each one of these 3 is where we're going to be writing the letters. And I'm going to be writing my letters a little bit larger than these lines so that you can see everything. So first is the Aleph. And I'm just going to get my workbook here, my Hebrew lesson booklet that I've printed out. I've also printed out the 10 Commandments. That's going to be, eventually you're going to be learning this, all the words here. And so let's go to, so this is what we did already. And this is the worksheet we're going to be using. All right, so you can see over here, you've got 3 boxes that are taller, rectangular boxes that are taller than they are wide. So I'm going to make this really big so you can see it. In this middle space, let's make a big, I'm going to make a rectangular box that's taller than it's wide. And I'm going to make 3 of them, just like on this illustration. 1, 2, 3. All righty. Next thing you do is you make a diagonal from the upper left to the bottom right. Upper left, bottom right, upper left, bottom right, upper left, bottom right. Okay. Next, I'm going to divide these diagonals into 3 separate pieces with 2 dots. They're going to be approximately 3 equal pieces. 2 dots. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, the upper dot, put your pencil in the upper dot, and you're going to make a backwards S. We're going to go backwards, and you're going to wind up with the point in the lower left. That with the other 2. Backwards S. Backwards S. And in the lower left. Next, in the upper right, we're going to make a question mark and wind up in the lower dot. Question mark, lower dot. Question mark, lower dot. Okay, so you can see that's an Aleph. Okay, now we're going to do it without the boxes. Make a diagonal, upper left to the lower right, upper left, lower right, upper left, lower right, and divide each one of these up into 3 equal segments using 2 dots. Okay, now, again, we're going to do the same thing. Start in the upper dot, make a backwards S, and wind up in the bottom, the lower left. And it's going to be flush with this upper left diagonal. Yeah, the lower left to upper left. And also in the corner, the right upper corner, make that question mark and wind up in the lower dot. Backwards S, question mark. Backwards S. Okay, so that's the Aleph. And the Aleph is silent. It does not make a sound. Eventually you'll learn that in order for that Aleph to make a sound, you have to attach a vowel marking to it. All right, next is the Beit. Now remember, in here it says that the Resh is a basic shape. The Resh, you start in the upper left, come across, and curve down. That's a Resh. Now we need to make a Beit. So how do we make a Beit? You come up to this point where the upper left comes and comes down. You're going to stick out a little tiny bit to the left and make the base. And it's going to stick out on the other side a little bit. Okay, that's a Beit. And it makes the B sound. B. Right, so do several of those if you can. Next is Gimel. Start in the upper left, across a little bit and make a diagonal down. Divide this. This looks like a walking stick, doesn't it? You divide that walking stick in half, and then you're going to come down to the lower left, excuse me, with what looks like a leg, and you're going to come flush with this top left here. Okay, and it looks like a walking leg, and that's the gimel. That has the g sound. G as in gorilla. Next is dalet. Start in the upper left, come across and make a cap. It looks like a cap. Come in a little bit to the left and connect a line straight down. Dalet has the d sound. Hey is next. Now we're going to do another Leish form. Start in the upper left, come across and curve down. It's a Leish form. You're going to come to the upper left, come in a little bit and down, and make a stick that is not connected to this Leish form. A stick down. That's hey. That has the H sound. Now, if you can see this letter as being open, you can see that it makes sort of the sound of the hey in your throat as if it's open and breathing. Hey, you're almost breathing out. I mean, imagine your lungs down here. You've got lungs down there and you're breathing. Okay, the air is coming out through this opening. Hey, that's the H sound. Next is Vav. Vav starts in the upper left, comes across and curves down very quickly, all the way down. Vav has the V sound. Okay, V. So let's review. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav. All right, let's go to Zion. Zion. Okay, again, I'm in my middle space here. I got the upper, middle, and lower space. I'm in the middle space here. But a little bit, I'm giving myself extra room. Okay, Zion. Make a little cap. Divide that in half. And Zion, which sounds like a Z, makes a zigzag. So in this middle point, you're going to zig to the left, flush with this upper left, and then you're going to zag all the way down and end up flush with this right side. So I'm going to make a little dot there. Zag with a diagonal all the way down here. Zion has the Z sound. Next is hate. Okay, now that's the guttural sound. Start in the upper left, and we're going to make a Leish form. Come across and curve down. A Leish, there's your Leish. But now we're going to come in a little bit from the upper left, and we're going to connect. So we're going to close off this sound. Hate, you can hear it's closed off in the middle of your throat. Okay, so hate is closed in your throat versus hey, which is open, breathing. Hey, fate, it's closed. Okay. Next comes Tate. Start in the upper left, and we're going to come down, make a U. Big U. And we're going to come up to the top here and make a little tail that looks, well, my kids, when they were learning Hebrew, looked like a whale's tail, is how the teacher described it. So it's a big U, like a big whale, and here's a whale's tail. Tate as the T sound. Next is Yud. Start in the upper left, come across, curve down, and stop. That is the teeniest, tiniest letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Yud with the Y sound. So in review. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tate, Yud. Next is Chaf. Start in the upper left, come across, and you're going to make like a resh. It looks like a resh, doesn't it? But at the bottom, it's going to come across. And it's going to come a little bit out, stick a little bit out from the top. Chaf. Again, it's at guttural. Okay, so chaf. Next comes my three favorite, lamed, mem, nun. Okay, lamed. Lamed, which has the L sound, starts in the upper space. We're going to start in the upper space. Okay, again, I've gone way higher, but make an L with equal legs, okay, equal sides, an L, and then you're going to come down and curve and end flush with this line. Okay, lamed, L, L. Next is mem. All right, start with the lower left here. We're going to be in the lower left, and we're going to come up and make an upside down U. Upside down U. A tate is a right side up U with the whale's tail. Mem is an upside down U. Now we're going to come in to the left, coming close to that side, and we're going to leave an opening. And then we're going to put a chimney in the upper left. That looks like a little house that you can enter at this door, and then there's your chimney. Mem. M. Next is nun. I'm going to start in the upper left, come across, curve down, and then curve out a little bit, just like the chaf, but it's much narrower. So the N is narrow. Nun. Nun. Okay, let's go to the next page. Samech. Start in the upper left and come across all the way, nice and big, and then come down and make a U. Oops, closer to the bottom here. Make a U and come up, but not all the way, and attach. Okay, so that's a samech. So upper left, come across, make that U. Sorry, it's a little wiggly U, and close it up. So samech has the S sound. Next is ayin, which has that another guttural, but it is silent. Upper left, and you're going to make just a diagonal, upper left to the lower right. Let me just make this straight here. So, left, lower right. Then you're going to come, make an imaginary line up here and go a little bit to the right. Okay, so this is going to look like a cup with a holder. So to the right, and then come down and curve, curve, intersect at that diagonal, and extend it out until it's flush with the upper left here. Okay, ayin, silent. Okay, they have names, but the letters themselves are silent. Aleph is silent, ayin is silent. Okay, next is Fei. Upper left, come across, another resh form, but it's more like a chaf. Keep on going and curve and come out a little bit, exactly like a chaf. Looks just like the chaf. But now you're going to come in a little bit from the upper left, and you're going to come down and make this little upside down and backwards yud. That's a correct yud. This is upside down and backwards. Okay. That's fe, as the F or F sound. Sadi, start in the upper left, make a diagonal down to the lower right. Then you're going to come backwards and to the left and wind up flush with this upper left here. Okay, so it's flush. So this is a diagonal, but it's leaning against this line here. Then you're going to divide the diagonal in half and come out in equal distance from the upper left. Okay, so go up here, or you can do it from the top down. Okay, Sadi. As a S sound, as in cats or pizza. Okay, next is Kuf. Actually make the Kuf over here. Start in the upper left and you're going to make a big backward C, but it's not completely a C because it stops. Look at that. So this one stops before you get to this upper left side. Then you're going to make, I'm going to stick it out a little bit more, a backward C. Then you're going to come in a little bit from the upper left and down. And you're going to make this floating stick. Floating stick. There it is. So it's in the middle space. You know, all these are in the middle space. But this stick comes down below the middle space. The lamed, the stick comes above the middle space. And the kuf, the stick comes below. Kuf, it's a backward Q. K. Well, let's review. Aleph, Beit, please say this with me. Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Chaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Fe, Sadi, Kuf, last three. Next is Reish. You already know how to spell this. You start in the upper left, you come across and curve straight down. Reish. Sound, R sound. Next is Sheen. Start in the upper left and give yourself plenty of room because this is going to be a big, well, it looks like a salad bowl. Okay. Start in the upper left and come down all the way and then come up on the other side. Okay, that's like a big U, a big salad bowl. We're going to make an imaginary line down the middle. Okay, and with that imaginary line, we're going to look at the bottom left and draw a dot. Like there's a cherry in the bowl. And then we're going to come up to the top right, make an imaginary line here and divide that in half. Okay, another dot point, and we're going to connect the dots. Upper right with the lower left. There it is. And we're going to erase those other marks here, just as a guide. Don't move them now. Okay, Sheen has a sh, has H, sh sound. And last is the Tav. I'm going to make another Reish. Start in the upper left, come across, make that Reish form. And then we're going to come back to the upper left and come in a little bit and connect with a stick. But this time the stick at the bottom makes a kicking leg. Kicks it out. Tav. Okay, that's spelled with the TH. Makes the T sound as in Thomas. All right, so let's review this. So I'll say this together, please. You can read from your writing or you can read from mine. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Chaf, Lamed Mem Nun, Samech Ayin Fe, Sadi Kuf, Resh Shin Tav. All right, so we're going to do this every time until you get really good at it. So I will see you next time, and shalom.